Hey, this is Rick from FreedFromWork, and today I want to talk to you about pay per click or advertising. And I've been doing some advertising on Google, and I'd like to tell you about that and some of the positives, negatives, and how things are going on that for me. But before I get into that, please like, subscribe, share, and turn on notifications so you'll be alerted as soon as I put out new videos. So you've probably all heard about this, and I've tried this several times, and I've basically failed many times on it because there's certain things you have to do to set it up so that you don't have broad keywords. And I just want to walk you through a little bit of it. So in case you're interested, I've been learning mine through Wealthy Affiliate, but there's a lot of great teachers. Well, they're not just teachers, they are in advertising, or not advertising, but they have websites. They are actively involved in pay-per-click and making money online. And so one of them I'm following, I'll have his information up on the screen. And he's leading me not just me, other people, step by step through the process of how to set up a Google ad to be successful. And one of the things I'll just tell you real quick is when you have to put in keywords, so people will type in a keyword and they'll come to your ad, and it has to be a very narrow keyword. And by that I mean it has to be basically what you want to promote. As an example, I have hiking emergency beacons, you can call them that, but they're really called satellite communicators, satellite messengers, and most of mine are actually on the Garmin's. Now I do have ACR, Bivy Stick, SpotX, Somewhere Global Hotspot, Zoleo, but right now I'm promoting a few really popular Garmin InReach satellite communicators. And one of them in particular is a Garmin InReach Mini 2, and then there's another one, it's the Garmin, not the Montana 700i, but that is actually one of them, but it's not the primary focus, but the Garmin GPS Map 66i. So I'm going to have some screenshots up if you're showing the step-by-step process, at least some of it, of some of the more important things I do when I set up an ad. But one of the things I've been learning is, and the only reason I'm talking to you about this right now is because they are becoming very successful. The click-through rates, the impressions, and some of them are actually, I'm probably going to have to pause them a little bit because they're so successful that they're outpacing the money that I'm making with what I'm paying out. And just for example, before I get into those keywords, when you start advertising, say you've got $500 to spend. Well, if you have a budget of $10 a day, well, in 30 days, that's $300. If you go higher than that, then you can see real quick, you could blow a budget if you're making $500. And what happens is, you have to have some money in advance of advertising. So when you get charged $500 or $300 or $1,000 for advertising, you have to be making more than that. So you can absorb that expense, and then all of a sudden, next month or the month after, everything's just taken off more because you're advertising and more people are coming to your site. So just be careful of that. If you don't have a lot of money and you're short on money, don't advertise. Or if you advertise, then be very careful. You could even go to $5 a day maximum bid, and then there's a cost per click, maximum cost per click. And so I'll run through a little bit of that with you, but let's get to the keywords real quick. So I am promoting these Garmin InReach Mini 2. So on my hikingemergencybeaconsite.com, it's all one word, there's no spaces if you're curious or type it in. I don't just promote them, I actually do field tests, real in-depth field tests where I buy them, I test them, I see how they work, I compare them against each other. And so I've seen some of my videos and some of my articles have a lot of engagement, a lot of people coming to them. So say take the Mini 2 for example. So it's the Garmin InReach Mini 2. Now if somebody comes in and types in Garmin, and I put Garmin as a keyword, well, Garmin could be road GPS systems like you're in your car. It could be for Jeeps or four-wheelers or marine marine GPS systems, ATV systems. It could be a watch. It could be running. It could be a running watch. It could be adventure watches. It's just a whole host of things. So I would never just put in Garmin, even though that would get a lot of attention. I'd get a lot of impressions if I just said Garmin. People would be coming to my site for a running watch, and then they'd see it's satellite communicators, and they'd be going, forget it, that's not what I wanted. So when they click on that ad, that costs me money. So I don't want somebody clicking on the ad who's looking for an adventure watch or a running watch or a marine satellite communicator. I want them coming to my website when they're looking for specifically a Garmin inReach Mini 2, a Garmin GPS Map 66i, a Garmin Montana 700i. I want them to be looking and researching those very specific words. So when you go in and you set up your ad, you'll have a place where you can put in keywords. So I'm going to jump back to the beginning and talk to you a little bit about it, but I really wanted to start with this keywords first. So if I were to say, put a keyword in, says Garmin inReach, so it's an inReach device, Garmin inReach Mini 2. That is a great keyword, but if I just type that word in by itself with no quotations or brackets, then somebody who's looking up Mini or Garmin or 2 or just inReach could come to my site or click on that and waste my money. So I don't want that. So what you do is you set up, say you have a bunch of keywords and say one of them is Garmin inReach Mini 2, one of them is inReach Mini 2, one of them is Garmin Mini 2, and another one's Garmin Mini 2 Review. So I've given you enough ideas already right there. And then I could also say, I've done this though, I've also used the word Garmin inReach Communicator, Garmin inReach Messenger, because if you're typing in Garmin and inReach together, that right there means you're looking for a satellite communicator. So when I type that in, I get a very specific, when they type it in, it's a very specific audience that's looking for a satellite communicator handheld, basically one that you carry on your backpack, or it can be an ATV. They have some for both, but most of them are for handhelds that you carry on your pack. So after I do that and I have my keywords, I copy them and I have two sets. So I'd have one set of these keywords that says quotation, Garmin inReach Mini 2, quotation. Then the second set will be the same thing, same words, but it'll say open bracket, but it's a square bracket, it's not the round. It's a square bracket and it's bracket, Garmin inReach Mini 2, close bracket. So that is what keeps it very specific. So the quotation, I believe, means that if somebody types in those words exactly in order, Garmin inReach Mini 2, that would pull up my ad. If they typed it in but put it backwards and they said inReach Mini 2 Garmin, it would still pull it up. It has all the keywords are just out of order. So that's what that does, and it gives you very focused keywords and very focused, the people who are coming to your site are looking for that product. Now, I don't want to get too long in this, but that keywords information is super important. But let me just step back real quick and just give you a real quick rundown of what I do and on setting up a Google ad. So first of all, you have to go to Google Ads or something. I'll have screenshots up of everything of this. So again, I'm not going to list everything, but I'll show you some important things. So you go there, you set up your account, and then there's campaigns. And under campaigns, you can have different campaigns or different ads. You can have different ads under each campaign. What I typically do though is I'll just have a campaign. I have one campaign for the Garmin inReach Mini 2. I have another one for the GPS Map 66i versus the Montana 700i. And then I have another one, but it doesn't matter. But they're different campaigns. But I could have easily gone in there and said the campaign is hiking emergency beacon. And under that campaign, I could have put ads for each one of those separately and tracked them that way. So there's different ways to handle that. But once you go in and you create a campaign, you give it a name, you put your website I use my website. But I think you could probably put in a YouTube channel. So the website, you put that information in, you say what country you're from, and you say what countries not what country you're from, but what countries you want the ad to show up in. And this is really critical too, because one time I listed basically all English-speaking countries, and I didn't specify the countries. And I had so much coming from China and Africa and India, and they weren't interested in the product. I think they were more interested in how I was building or doing something, and I spent a bunch of money and I didn't get anything from it. So you got to be very specific with the countries that you are focused on and your keywords. So once you have all this set up, then you get into, well, what your ad name is, and then you start getting into keywords and descriptions. And then there's certain things you can do. You can pin the titles. You can pin, like I can pin one title to always stay at the top of the ad. And then there's descriptions, and you can pin a description that always stays at the top, and they're in order. You can see it as you're building this ad out. You can actually, you'll see it as it'll start displaying it. The other titles and descriptions that you don't pin, then they'll cycle through. It's a random order basically. But then when you're done with that, then it's going to ask you for photos. Now, when you first start up and you're new, I didn't have photos show up, but then a day or two later, they showed up. So you can put photos for your ad, and at least one has to be square, and then you put these ads in, which it helps because then you have your ad, but then at the bottom you'll have images of the ads, which again helps grab people's attention. And if you make those photos very specific to what you're selling or promoting, then it just helps. It makes your ad a lot more effective. And then you also get into things like, what's your bid strategy? How much are you going to pay per day? What's your maximum you're going to pay? What are you going to pay per click? And that's when when there's an impression means that when you're searching the web and you type in, hiking boots, and all of a sudden there's an ad there. Well, that's an impression. It showed up, it's an ad. But if you don't click on it, it doesn't cost them anything. But if you click on it, it costs whoever created that ad, it costs them money. And if you click on that, then after time, there's a certain amount of impressions, and there's a certain amount of clicks, and there's a click-through rate, and then you'll have a cost associated with it too. And there's just different things you can do to make sure you don't end up costing yourself money. There's another thing, just real quick. When you're selecting where you want your ads to show up, there's two buttons you click, and it'll be on the screen because I don't remember the name of this one particular area on it. But the bottom one you don't want, because when you're surfing and you click on something and you go to, you're looking at ski boots. Well, when you're looking at those ski boots, sometimes there's ads that are popping up on that website. Well, that is a very general way that your ads are going to be popping up sometimes when that website's not what you're about. And so you're going to get more general clicks. Again, that'll be on the screen. You see that. I'll highlight that and probably say something about not to click it. Well, I've already said it, so you'll know. Well, I've gone through quite a bit here, and it is a little challenging to step through. I've created 6 or so ads in the past 3 weeks, and I'm monitoring them right now to see which ones are successful, which ones are not, and I'm going to be looking at next how to scale the ads that are successful. And that's the next step. But if you want to learn more, go to Wealthy Affiliate. There's be several different places you can click here on my website, and even in the YouTube channel below in the description. And that's where I learned so much about building websites and promoting things, or how to write an article, or how to do pay-per-click, or how to get more refined searches and search engine SEO, search engine optimization, SEO. That's how you make your site so that Google likes it. There's certain things Google wants to see, and they'll rank you higher for it. And that's what Wealthy Affiliates really helped me to do, is besides building the website, besides building YouTube channels and how to do a video better, how to write an article better, there's just all kinds of training. So if you want to learn more, go check out that at Wealthy Affiliate. Leave a comment below, and I'll get back to you really quick. And if you have any questions, I'd love to help you out, or just, visit with you. So thanks for joining me here on Freed from Work, and I'll see you in the next video.